Hello anybody, and welcome to a brand new Let's Play. I'm Mr. Devious, or just Deeb, and if you've watched me before, and have been keeping up with my videos, you may be wondering where I disappeared off to for the past year and a half. And the answer to that is just new job. But let's get away from that into the game that we're going to be starting, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble, the third game in the Donkey Kong Country trilogy, and the last one on the Super Nintendo. So we're going to be skipping this opening demo that's just a demo of the beginning of the game. I'm trying to get into the game as quickly as I can now because there actually is a bunch of stuff to get through. So we're going to make a new save file. Like in the other Donkey Kong Country games, you can make it single player or two players, whether you play as a team or compete with each other. But obviously I don't have anybody else to play with for this run through, so I'm just going to be good old Deeb. Just Deeb, if you will. We'll shove that VHS tape in there, and the game will start with Dixie jumping off a cliff and into the ocean. She'll move up on her own and go to Wrinkly's Save Cave. This part is automatic.
Hello there, it's me, Mrs. Wrinkly Kong. I found life too hectic at school with all those naughty Kremlings pestering me all the time. If you need to save your game, Dixie, call here anytime.
If you look on the wall, there's a picture of Cranky Kong.
And I'll record your progress on my new VidMe What's-It machine for you.
There's something funny about the idea of a VHS cassette tape recorder being fancy and new in 1996. I mean, it wasn't fancy and new. The joke is that she's old and, you know, it's old technology, but it's kind of ridiculous. So yeah, here's a preview of the save screen, I guess.
Do keep a lookout for any banana birds. They're ever such nice company.
So, as you may have noticed from the save screen, there was a whole bunch of crap on it, like a whole bunch of icons and things, and basically, as we get into Donkey Kong Country 3, we're gonna find that there are some things that make it different from the first two games, even though I didn't play the first two games. First of all, a small thing, when you get in water in this game, you are granted free control, and that's kind of just a neat little feature. Saving is free in this game now. It used to cost 2 coins in Donkey Kong Country 2, but they kind of changed it up, what coins do in this game. They're back, and we're gonna go to Bazaar's general store. This is what coins are for now.
Hello there, young Dixie. My name's Bazaar, and this is my general store. All of my brothers are scattered over these islands.
Come on.
Pop in and say hello if you meet them on your travels.
So, he's got a couple of items to sell, but we don't really have any money, so we're not even gonna look at them, because, well, we can't buy them.
Hey, you just have a real nice day now, Dixie, you hear?
So one of the things that makes Donkey Kong Country 3 interesting is it adds some adventure game elements into the mix, and when I say they add adventure game elements, I'm being pretty generous. Mostly it means there's bear cabins all around the world. They added bears in, and you have to do little side quests for them. Mostly fetch quests, mostly little stuff, but it's still really neat and gives the game a bit of personality that way.
Yo, Dixie, what's happening? I've set up my smoking new boat shop on this island, but that's not all. I've also brought your excellent cousin Kitty Kong along for the ride. He may be a toddler, but if you let him throw you upwards, you'll almost reach the stars. Oh yeah! And if you throw him, his humongous body can smash through the floor of some areas. Trust me.
Well, I don't really have a choice, Funky Kong.
Catch you later, Kongs.
So, Funky Kong now owns a little dock. Funky's Rentals, to be specific. We can honk a horn. Vehicles are a new thing to this game, water vehicles. But as you can see with the boat, we don't really have many options of where we can go right now, so we're basically limited to this little shore here, which we'll leave alone for the moment, and this path to the first world of the game, Lake Orangutanga. And we're just gonna get straight into the first level of the game, Lakeside Limbo, in this water/plains themed world, although that doesn't really come through in the levels themselves necessarily. Donkey Kong Country games have never really been too firmly set in their tropes. The first game was more like, they haven't been stuck in the standardized Super Mario Brothers tropes of necessarily plains, desert, water world, and, well, I mean, this is kind of a water world, but it's not. We got a Kremling right there. I think his name is Cobble. And as Funky Kong said, we can smash through the boards and get to the bonus coin barrel. Like in Donkey Kong Country 2, these bonus barrels are scattered throughout the game, and you need to get them all to get 100% completion for this game, so we're going to be doing that. This is a fairly simple first minigame, just collect all the stars and you're good. That's pretty much all you have to do. But as I was saying, tropes in Donkey Kong Country games aren't necessarily super standardized. They usually follow, like, nature themes in the first game. By the way, that's the DK coin for this level. DK coins are a little bit different in this game than they were in Donkey Kong Country 3, in Donkey Kong Country 2. Whereas in Donkey Kong Country 2, where they were just kind of in awkward places, in Donkey Kong Country 3, you have to get them from the enemy called Coin, who always has it in his shield. And even though we just had to throw a barrel and hit him behind the back this time, we're gonna have to do some puzzles later on that are a little more complicated. And I swear, I'm gonna finish my little chat about tropes in Donkey Kong Country games and how they kind of do their own thing. Donkey Kong Country 3 kind of goes back to the nature-themed things for the most part, like in Donkey Kong Country 1, with some industrial stuff here and there. It kind of leans away from the pirate fantasy adventure aspect of Donkey Kong Country 2 and goes back to the whole nature trail kind of adventure. Nature trail exploration something. It definitely feels more in line with Donkey Kong Country 1 than 2, with some of the gameplay designs and sensibilities of Donkey Kong Country 2, if you kind of get what I'm going at here. I'm saying Donkey Kong Country a lot in this first episode. Now, as you can see, we just played a bonus minigame in which we got some green bananas. They appear randomly in those levels, and usually the challenge in them is to not get hurt. Animal buddies return in this game, but in this one we get a lot of new ones. This is Ellie the elephant. She replaces Rambi, who was in the first two games, Rambi the rhino. So now we have an elephant. She can pick up barrels and bonk Kremlings with them. She can turn into a coin when you force her through a sign, which is, pretty cruel. Always check little secret alcoves like up here, because there's usually secrets in them. So yeah, we didn't get to use Ellie the elephant for very long, probably because, I'm trying to go through these levels fairly quickly. So I'm going to be going over to Doorstop Dash, the next level of the game. It's kind of weird to not see Rambi in this game after he was in the first two games, given that Rambi was the first animal buddy that you got in Donkey Kong Country 1, and also kind of the most common one, I think. He was the signature animal buddy, and to see him replaced with Ellie the elephant, who is more puzzle-oriented than just mow everything down-oriented, it kind of marks a shift in the platforming for this game, I think. I think it's more emblematic of Donkey Kong Country 3 taking on a bit more of a puzzle platforming thing, or puzzle platforming, gameplay design rather than just platforming challenge. Now, this game does have a lot of challenging platforming moments, but it definitely feels like it leans in more toward puzzles as you go throughout the game. Not super complex ones, but, So as you can see in this game, when you throw Kitty Kong, Dixie Kong's cousin, he slams down really hard, and Dixie Kong can't throw Kitty Kong as far as he can throw her. And you might be wondering, who is Kitty Kong? And he's an oversized toddler, and he's Dixie Kong's cousin, as Funky said. And you might be wondering, if this game is called Donkey Kong Country 3, where is Donkey Kong, and for that matter, where is Diddy Kong? Well, it turns out that the story of this game involves Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong have been kidnapped, and they're both missing, and it's up to Dixie Kong to search them out, and she gets help from Kitty Kong along the way. The plot of this game basically revolves around the whole, Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong are missing, and also the Kremlings are kind of at it up here in the northern Kremisphere is the name of this world. They're kind of at it again, sort of, kind of. It definitely, again, feels totally kind of weird. In Donkey Kong Country 1, the plot was not really much of a plot. They were never really big on plot in the Donkey Kong Country games, but in the first one, the idea was that King K. Rool stole the banana horde, and Donkey Kong goes to get it back. And they're invading Donkey Kong Island. In Donkey Kong Country 2, the plot was that Donkey Kong is kidnapped, and Diddy Kong takes Dixie to Crocodile Isle, the home base of the Kremlings, to get him back. Whereas this game just kind of, you know, Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong have gone missing, go to the northern Kremisphere to find them. Also, King K. Rool is apparently gone, and the Kremlings have a new leader. Funny thing about the Kremlings in this game, though, they don't appear as much, and strangely, they don't have nearly as much of an aesthetic as they used to have. See, in Donkey Kong Country 1, there I go again, just saying the names of the games again. So I'm just gonna go first game, second game, third game. In the first game of this trilogy, they wore military fatigues. They looked like they were members of the American military, and there's a good game theory on why that is, but I won't get into that because that's not my show, and I don't do game theories. At least, not, you know, these long videos about game theories. But anyway, they wore American military fatigues, and in the second game, they had just straight up pirate gear. This is taking forever. I'm just gonna drop down this side. They had pirate gear in the second game, whereas in this game, they're mostly just kind of naked. Not counting Coin there. He had a bucket on his head, and a shield, if you want to call that, you know, armor. Now, even the bananas kind of trick you there if you follow their path, because if you keep on the right side, there is a double extra life there. Green balloons are 2 lives, red balloons are 1 life, blue balloons are 3 lives. So yeah, that is the first 2 levels of the game that are pretty much all taken care of. Let me just check something real quick. Now, I'm not actually going to go on to the next level of the game. I'm going to show off something new that this game does, something that's in line with its whole adventure game aspect. Throughout the game, there are these secret coves. Bounty Beach is the name of this one. And you may have remembered Wrinkly Kong was saying something along the lines about banana birds. Well, in these coves, you have to play these little puzzles, and by puzzles, I mean they're Simon. The game will play a code for you, and you gotta repeat it back. And if you get it right, you get a banana bird. And then the banana bird goes back to Wrinkly's save cave, and they're scattered throughout the game, and you want to get them if you can. Well, to be precise, you want to get them if you want to get 100% for this game. For the longest time, I didn't get them all because it's actually kind of tricky to get everything in this game. Completing the game isn't hard, getting 100% is hard. Now we're gonna go back to Bazar's general store now because we do have some coins. We have 6 coins, and we're gonna ask about that shell.
This shell was found at the bottom of Lake Orangutanga. It's pretty rare. At 5 bear coins, it's a bargain. Would you like to purchase this fine specimen?
Yes, please.
It's a deal. I hope you're very happy together.
And there's another question, something about so who owns the castle, but you have to spend money for that, and we'll worry about that another time. As for the mirror there, we're gonna need 50 coins before we can buy that. So you might be wondering, why did I just buy a shell? And there's a very good logical explanation for why I bought the shell. Again, in line with what I was talking about earlier in reference to this game having adventure game elements, and how it mostly pertains to fetch quests, well, we just bought ourselves a shell, so we're gonna go over to this island here, Barnacle's Island. Barnacle is another one of the bears.
Hello there, how's it going, Kongs? Barnacle's me name, and I've set up home here to build me shell collection. This bird is a friendly fellow, isn't he? He flew in once, so I decided to keep him. What a beautiful shell. It's just what I need to finish off me collection. Say, Kongs, would you swap that shell for my bird? Arr, that I will.
I like how the implication here is that Dixie Kong is willing to play along with his whole shtick.
You would? That's great. Here's the bird. Please take care of him.
Well, we're not actually going to be taking care of this banana bird. And one more thing before we end off today's episode. Even in these subworlds, when you're given a little freedom to explore around, usually in water sections or on even secret junctions that you can't necessarily see right away, you can find Smuggler's Cove in this instance, but in most instances, you can find a banana bird. Okay. Pretty easy. If I remember correctly, I think every world in the game has one of these hidden on the map, and then a lot of the Brother Bears will give you a bird, maybe. Or maybe it's just a few of them. Off the top of my head and under pressure, I can't immediately think of them. But I think that's good progress for today. I know we didn't really do a whole lot in this episode. We did 2 levels, and I showed off some of the aspects of this game, like the banana birds and some of the bartering. But I think, for now, this will make a good pause point before we go on to the next level.
I love this bird that you found. It's an energetic little thing, isn't it?
And if you're wondering, that is an N64 in front of Wrinkly Kong's TV. It's cute because this game came out a few months after the release of the N64, so that's really interesting. And a little later in the game, I'm expecting we're going to be seeing some kind of secret to do with that N64. But I'm not going to spoil anything.
Aren't you going to give your favorite relative a goodbye kiss?
And we are going to shun Wrinkly Kong's request for a kiss. And with that taken care of, we're going to swim up here, and we're going to call it an episode right at the entrance to this next level, Tidal Trouble. Maybe in the next episode, I'll be able to complete my thoughts more about this game's aesthetic and how it breaks from the previous 2 games and does kind of its own thing. But we'll have to see. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see somebody in the next one. Bye-bye!